first scene talks about how things were being rewritten all the time in the shoot. That they would talk about something over dinner, and the next day there would be a reference to it in the scene, for example. One of the things they struggled with throughout the shoot was the construction of the famous Indianapolis speech, which Robert Shaw recites, which gives us the insight into why he was such a maniac. But it's also the heart of the film, because without that knowledge, we don't understand why he is so strange and unhinged.
Robert taking a look at a first peek at the original Indianapolis speech, which was way too long, and he thought was very poorly written. I mean, originally it was written by Howard Sackler, so I think it was about 7 pages long, completely unfilmable. Then John Milius had a go at it, cut it down to 3 pages. And Robert still thought that it was going to be impossible to do. So he, in fact, rewrote that speech.
So the first scene it's the first time we've seen these characters. It's scene 1. So everyone's kind of turned up onto the set. The shark is broken, obviously. We're about 8 weeks into this shoot now. So tensions are already starting to run high. We've been here in Martha's Vineyard. The weather is awful.
They're starting to really get hit with how arduous and long-lasting this whole shoot's going to be with all the problems. Roy has really got something that I think a lot of great lead actors do, which is when they know they're the top dog on the film set, they know that if they're nice and they kind of keep things calm and mediate, it will just sort of sprinkle down and just kind of solve everything. So there's a little bit of mediation going on. There's a little bit of like, hey, let's just all coast along. This is all going to be great.
Hey, Robert. Here is the latest version of the Indianapolis speech.
You read it?
Yeah.
By Christ, there's some stinky writing here. And it's 3 pages long. We're not doing a bloody play.
I'm sure not even Olivier could make it work. They'll cut it.
They can't cut it. It's the heart of the movie. It explains why Quint's a bloody maniac.
Robert, listen, I never got a chance to say it before, but I just wanted to tell you how much I loved your Claudius. It was the best Claudius I've ever seen. Do you think I could do Shakespeare?
No.
Richard and I were just discussing whether this damn film is ever going to wrap. What do you think?
Who the hell knows? I think the technicians are wonderful. I think Bob's incredible. Do you know he built the bloody squid in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea?
I did know that, but I mean the point is, are we going to be here for the rest of our lives?
I hope to God not. Have either of you noticed certain facial features keep cropping up with the locals round here? There's a nose and a jawline that I keep seeing again and again.
Now that you mention it.
I don't suppose there's much else to do here in the winter months. Might as well cuddle up with your sister.
God, we should have shot it in a goddamn tank. It's grueling and pointless.
Wouldn't look the same in a bloody tank. The story's important, the shark's important, but the sea is crucial. I wouldn't have taken the job if we were shooting in a tank. You think you're overworked, do you? You think you're overstretched? You Beverly Hills milk puff, well, do you?
I think I'm pretty much busting my balls, yes.
Good God, when they call ramp and take us in speedboats back to the local bar and you drape yourself in a blonde, or what was it last night, a brunette, what do you think the technicians are doing? Those poor bastards have been freezing their asses up in the water half the time, and then they have to clean and maintain the cameras, re-weld, repatch, and all the other lunking, striking, and general shit that we never get to see. Why do you think we're first in the bar?
The second scene establishes kind of the hierarchy within the 3 stars. You have the old grizzled master actor who's been there, done it all, and you've got the young, arrogant, ambitious Dreyluss, who's desperate to be accepted by the older, more experienced actors, and you've got the kind of the peacekeeper, the settled one who just wants to get, have a good time, but get everybody to the finish line, and that plays out in this scene. It's I can't tell you where it leads, but it's very funny.
In this second scene, there's a game of Shove Hate Me played, which is a restrictive business because you're completely cocooned into this tiny little cabin. And where you stand, how you stand, quite apart from how you play the game. Because for shove halfpenny, I don't know if you've ever played it, you put the coin on the side of the table and knock it. But with our table, because it's a table from a boat, they have this ridge that goes round. I'm getting a little tedious here, but you get this ridge to stop things falling off the table, which totally stops you from being able to get to the coins.
So Richard's just got this huge review for a film he did. He thought it was gonna. He signed on to this film, The Apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz, and he thought it was going to be this thing that leapt him into stardom. But he saw the film and he thought he was awful in it. So for that first scene, that's kind of colouring his whole thing. He phoned up Steven Spielberg to say, please, can I get on this film? Because he'd initially turned it down, but then phoned up to say, please, get me on this film. So he's just got this huge review in Variety magazine saying it's a hit. So I come in with this huge energy of, this is it, I'm one of you guys, I don't need to try anymore. I'm a big shot. So, and again, it's, this huge energy, starting to play this game, because these games have started to develop as we've been here now for about 10 weeks. After the game, after everything calms down a bit, this is mirroring the scars scene in Jaws, mirroring where they're all talking about their old wounds and drinks starting to flow. And it's, this moment of vulnerability between the three characters is really lovely.
What's great about this scene is it's a bit what I find with filmmaking, when you're with these people who before the film you didn't know, and now you're spending like 12 hours a day, weeks together. You kind of run out of things to say, and you start doing stuff. It's a bit like how we were in lockdown. It's kind of like, hey, let's play that really weird game that we never normally play. Or you start having really ridiculous conversations. Maybe even things get a little bit childish. And that's sort of where they are. I mean, they're now playing all these cockamamie games that Robert comes up with that he seems to always know how to win. And in trying to let off steam, that seems to build more tension.
The second scene is, they're so bored, and Robert was obsessed with games. Our whole family are a bit like that, actually. It's really rubbed off. So they play a game of shove halfpenny, which is a game, a pub game where you hit a coin with your finger and try and get it as far as you can down the table without touching the sides or the edge. And the one who goes furthest is the winner, for money.
Let's have a game. Holker?
Crap, I left the cards in my street clothes.
All right. Shove halfpenny?
Excuse me?
Shove halfpenny. It's a pub game. Let me show you. Excuse me, Roy. You take a coin, put it on the table, hit it with your finger, try and get it as far as you can to the other end without touching the sides or the edge. The one who goes furthest is the winner.
And this is a real game.
This is a real game. Best of 5, $100 entry.
$100?
Come on, Roy.
I see. This is a shakedown.
Come on, Richard. What else are we gonna do?
I don't know. Work on my parts.
Look really good.
Ah, very amusing. Call me crazy, but I take this movie seriously.
This is not a movie. This is a trifle, an entertainment.
You know, art and entertainment are not mutually exclusive.
He's got a point. I mean, take Casablanca. You like Casablanca, Robert?
Kiss me as if it were the last time. Of course I like Casablanca, Roy, one of Bogey's finest.
Now, did they know that they were making a great movie, or were they just making a trifle?
I get what you're saying, lads, but I still think this film is destined for the dustbin of history. Like those other big pieces of this decade. The Towering Inferno, The Exorcist, Love Story, Airport. Do you think anyone's going to remember any of those?
I kind of like Love Story.
That's because you're young and an idiot. You barely know to wipe your own bottom.
I resent that. I've been wiping my bottom perfectly adequately since I was at least 20.
Look, are we going to stand around bickering like schoolgirls, or are we going to play shove halfpenny?
Oh, I vote for bickering like schoolgirls.
Come on, you degenerates. I haven't got any halfpennies, so quarters will have to do.
What the hell is a halfpenny?
Half a penny. It's perfectly simple, or at least it was until those half-wits brought in decimalization.
2 halfpennies to a penny, 12 pennies to a shilling, 2 shillings to a florin, 10 florins to a pound.
Good man. And a guinea?
21 shillings.
On the nose.
Unless it's a bird.
I'll drink to that.
You're making this up.
And the final scene is where the three actors get to the end of the shoot and they are still trying to figure out what it's about. And Shaw sums it up brilliantly, but I'll leave him to do that.
The third scene is, I think this is more about Dreyfuss philosophizing about what the movie's about. Again, they're bored, they're waiting around, so they have these long, occasionally rambling conversations.
Not to get too deep, but I mean, like, coming at the end of the film is like coming at the end of a major life event, if not life itself, where you sort of sit there going, what was all that about? What we've just given this an enormous amount of energy and time, and we've gone through this whole, difficult journey together. What is this for? What is this thing that we've done, sacrificed for? What is it going to mean? So it's funny because it's just about the film, but it's also kind of about ourselves in a way.
What do you think it's about?
What?
This goddamn movie we've spent the last 4 months breaking our asses over. It's got to be about something, right? Everything is about something. I think it's about the subconscious.
Say again?
It's about the subconscious. Sharks, these ancient primal creatures, right? Well, they represent all the primal fear in all of us, all the terrors and desires we keep buried down deep. All the Freudian crap my therapist is always going on about. That's what the shark is. You don't agree?
It's an interesting theory.
All right, but what do you think it's about?
I think it's about responsibility. When the government are putting profit before people's lives and you can't get rid of the idiots, you got to take care of the mess yourself, even if it scares you, for the good of the community.
Whoa. That's deep. What about you, Robert? What do you think it's about?
It's about a shark.
What's it really about?
It's really about a shark. Don't read any more into it. It's a thriller, a machine for making money. Do you really think they're going to be talking about this in 40 years? Christ, if only someone in this industry could actually write.
Where do you begin when you write?
I'm always thinking about how I can grab the reader's attention, how I can shock them out of their smug, middle-class ways, shock them out of their stupor, to make them think. Everybody shocks them with sex these days, but I want to be the Jesuit priest. That's why I admire Orwell so much, even at his worst.
Are you working on anything?
I'm scribbling down thoughts about a woman who fights in the Spanish Civil War.
Do you enjoy it?
This is like the most boring episode of Johnny Carson I've ever seen.
When it's done, it's a hell of a feeling. But when it won't come, when you're staring at a blank page, it's purgatory. This stuff doesn't help. I must quit eating for a while. Why is it so bloody difficult? A few handfuls of grain fermented in a pot. I'm bored. Arm wrestling?
Oh God, no, not again. Never again.